Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to jump headfirst into some pretty massive news for horror game fans. We are talking Silent Hill.
That's right, big news. And we've looked at a couple of sources, basically clips from 2 YouTube transcripts reacting to it all. One was like a breaking news thing about Konami and Bloober Team.
Okay.
And the other was just a short bit related to what they showed.
Gotcha. So our goal here, for this deep dive is to really cut through the noise. We want to unpack what these sources are actually telling us about this confirmed Silent Hill 1 remake. Like, who's making it? How did this news even drop?
Right. And also the why.
Right.
Why Silent Hill 1 now? One source had some thoughts on that.
And yeah, any interesting little details or takes the creators had on the original game, or maybe where the series is headed.
Yeah, these big announcements, they're always exciting, aren't they? But you got to get past the headlines, dig into what people are actually saying, the details, the implications. That's where the interesting stuff usually is.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get into it. The main thing, the absolute core takeaway from these sources, Konami has officially confirmed it. A full remake of the original Silent Hill 1. It's actually in development.
It is. And the developer. It's Bloober Team.
Bloober Team, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our sources seemed pretty impressed with them, especially with their recent Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh, yeah. Very impressed. Called it a masterpiece. Even literally flawless, which is, strong praise.
Literally flawless. Wow, okay, that's quite a statement.
It is. And they sort of explained why they felt that way about the SH2 remake. Said Bloober took the original, updated it, but also made it even scarier. And apparently expanded the lore, added new endings, that kind of thing.
So real attention to detail. They're building on it, not just copying it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, sets a pretty interesting precedent for what they might do with Silent Hill 1, if that's the approach they take again.
Right. So how did Konami actually announce this SH1 news? Was it just like a random tweet?
No. The sources put it inside a bigger Konami live stream event. They were showing off other stuff, too. Things like Metal Gear Solid Delta, the MGS3 remake.
Right.
And even some new gameplay for Silent Hill F, which looks like a totally new game in the series.
Okay, so a packed stream. And where'd the SH1 news fit in?
Right at the end, apparently. They saved it, built some atmosphere first. The source described them playing the original Silent Hill music. That sound.
Oh, yeah, that creepy, high-pitched.
Yeah, they called it crazy, high-pitched, scary-ass music, haha, and showed the original logo.
Classic.
And then came the confirmation. Silent Hill is in development.
Ah, okay. Which I guess could be a bit confusing initially, like, is it a new Silent Hill?
Exactly. The source said they had that moment of confusion, too. Like, wait, is this Origins or a new game?
Before realizing, nope, it's a remake of the very first one from 1999.
Yeah. Now, digging a bit deeper, one source had a really interesting perspective on why Konami might be doing Silent Hill 1 now, specifically why SH1 instead of, say, Silent Hill 3.
Oh, that's a good question, because, after the SH2 remake, maybe you'd expect them to go numerically to SH3.
Well, that was exactly the worry this source had. They said they were very vocally against remaking SH3 first, made videos about it.
Really? Why? What was the reasoning, based on the games themselves?
Yeah, based on the story. They argued that while Silent Hill 3 is great, it's a direct sequel to Silent Hill 1, like narratively. Described 1 and 3 as, quote, literally where one game ends, the next game begins. A singular story. Whereas Silent Hill 2, that's kind of very off to the side, self-contained, a very different beast in terms of plot connecting to 1 and 3.
Okay, I see the logic. So the concern was, if you remake SH3 before SH1...
you'd have to somehow cram all the backstory, all the setup from the first game into the third game's remake just so the plot makes any sense.
Right, which could feel really awkward narratively.
Precisely. They felt trying to shoehorn SH1's setup into an SH3 remake just wouldn't flow well. So this source sees Konami choosing to do a full SH1 remake first as a very, very wise choice.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, laying the foundation properly before building on it with SH3's story.
Exactly. It respects that connection between 1 and 3.
Okay, interesting. Now, thinking about the original Silent Hill 1 itself, one source mentioned playing it again recently.
Yeah, they did. Said they'd played it maybe, 15 times and just revisited it.
And what was their take on it now, looking back at that old PS1 game?
Well, it's pretty striking. They admitted it's a little bit clunky, being a 1999 game.
Sure, understandable.
But even with the clunkiness, they still called it perfect.
Perfect! Wow, even today. That's high praise for such an old game. What did they think made it so perfect?
They really focused on how advanced it felt for its time, especially for horror. Pointed out things like hidden endings, alternate paths, even side quests, back in 1999.
Yeah, that was pretty ambitious then.
And they talked about how the game just kind of sits you loose in the town, just sits you loose in Silent Hill to figure things out. Described it as feeling, quote, in a weird way, almost open world.
Huh. Almost open world in 99. You don't often hear that description for games of that era, especially horror. It really paints a picture.
It does. And you can tell this source is definitely hyped for what Bloober Team might do with that foundation.
Yeah. What are they hoping for?
They specifically mentioned expecting the remake to be scary, like really intense. Talked about remembering how terrifying some of those monsters were and how the original intro was really messed up.
Right. That intro sequence is iconic.
Yeah. So it sounds like they expect Bloober to amplify those horror elements, which they're clearly known for.
Okay, so let's quickly pull this together then. What are the key things we've learned from these sources? Number one, Konami has officially confirmed it. Full remake of Silent Hill 1 is happening.
Check. And Bloober Team is developing it. The same team that did the SH2 remake, which at least one source praised pretty heavily, calling it a masterpiece.
Right, and the announcement itself came at the end of a bigger Konami stream after showing MGS Delta and Silent Hill F. They used the original music and logo for the reveal. Pretty cool.
Yep. Then there's the why. The argument from one source that doing SH1 before SH3 is a very, very wise choice because SH1 and SH3 are essentially one connected story, unlike SH2, which is more of a standalone thing.
That makes narrative sense. And finally, we got that perspective on the original 1999 game, someone who loves it calling it perfect, even now, despite being a little bit clunky.
Yeah, praising those hidden paths, the side quests, that feeling of being almost open world back then.
And definitely excitement about the remake being scary.
So yeah, this deep dive, it really helps just zero in on what was actually said in these reactions, the key details, and the thinking behind it.
Definitely. Gives you a much clearer picture than just the headline, SH1 remake confirmed. You get the context, the developer insight, the why.
Exactly. And maybe something for you, the listener, to think about after all this.
Yeah.
Given how that one source talked about the original Silent Hill 1 calling it perfect, but also a little bit clunky and almost open world in that specific 1999 way, what do you think are the biggest challenges for Bloober Team in remaking that specific game? And what are the opportunities? How do they even try to balance making it modern, accessible, maybe fixing that clunkiness, while still somehow preserving what made that original kind of weird, kind of open, perfect 1999 game feel so special?
Yeah, that's the tightrope, isn't it? Modernize it, but keep the soul. That's definitely something to chew on.